Hey, I'm Jake, 32 years old, and I got hitched last spring. You wouldn't guess it, though, looking at my upbringing. My older brother Ethan, total golden boy, at least in my parents' eyes. He was loud, showy, a real charmer, everything I wasn't. They always seemed to think he deserved more. I was the quiet one, the good student, the one who never made waves, who just kept to myself. Back then, I told myself it was cool. I didn't crave the attention. I had my books, my guitar, my own little world to escape to. But then Ethan got engaged 3 years ago, and suddenly everything changed. I saw how far they'd go for their favorite son. His wedding, it was a total extravaganza. Picture this, a private lakeside spot, a string quartet flown in from another state, a three-tiered cake that looked like a work of art, and a honeymoon in Greece all paid for by mom and dad, naturally. They even got him a brand new $3,000 custom suit. I was there, smiling and clapping, playing the good little brother. But even though I felt totally invisible that whole weekend, I overheard Mom telling a family friend, "We're just so proud of Ethan. He's always been the one we knew would make it." I stood there, champagne in hand, nodding along, but those words just kept ringing in my ears. The one who would make it. It really stung. I was in tech, working my butt off, and I'd finally gotten rid of my student loans. I even helped my folks with some medical bills the year before. But whatever, Ethan made it, right? Okay, so fast forward to last year. I popped the question to Lee. She said yes. It was during a rainy picnic under a gazebo near where we first met. Sweet, right? We both decided early on that we wanted something simple, just us. Not a huge, fancy thing, just something real. We had a budget of about 12 grand, all from our own savings. Even so, I reached out to my parents and Ethan. I was hoping they'd maybe want to pitch in, maybe help with some stuff like Lee's family did. I wasn't expecting some huge $40,000 bash, not even a catered rehearsal dinner. But I hoped they'd care, you know. Instead, I got months of being treated like I was bothering them. When I asked Mom if she could help with the flowers or maybe chip in for the food, she said, "Jake, you know we're still paying off Ethan's wedding. You're doing fine on your own." I told her we were taking care of it ourselves and just wanted her advice on a few things, and she said, "Well, if you're not doing it right, I don't want to be involved." Dad barely responded to my texts. When he did, it was always short stuff like, "Not sure we can make it, depends on work," or "Ask your brother, he's good at that stuff." They missed the bridal shower. They didn't offer to host anything. It was a week before the wedding and they still hadn't even asked where it was. I told myself, it's cool, they're just not good at this stuff, but honestly, I was devastated. This huge weight settled in my chest, like all those birthdays they blew off and all those accomplishments they didn't even seem to notice were playing on repeat in my head. Lee saw right through me, though. She'd quietly squeeze my hand whenever someone asked why my family wasn't more involved. The wedding day finally arrived, and Lee and I poured our souls into it. We had this adorable outdoor spot, all fairy lights twinkling in the trees, and one of my old college buddies played acoustic guitar. Lee was absolutely stunning, like a painting come to life. All our friends were there. Lee's whole family showed up. Even some coworkers and neighbors made it. But then after the ceremony, while we were at the reception, it hit me. My parents hadn't gotten us a single thing. No gift, no card, nothing. And Mom. She was practically glued to her phone, looking completely bored. Dad kept disappearing to smoke and made sure to tell my uncle how rushed and blah the whole thing felt. I even heard him laugh and say something like, "It's not like Jake really wanted a proper wedding anyway." And that's when I completely lost it. We were eating dinner, and Lee was chatting with her grandma. I sat there with my mom and dad across from me, trying to force a smile and say, "Thanks for being here, it really means a lot." My mom didn't even look up from her salad. She just said, "You should be thankful we even came." She went on about how my brother's wedding had totally wiped them out. Then Dad chuckled and said, "He's always needed us more than we've needed him. You've always been the independent one, right?" I don't think they expected anything but a little nod and me to just go along with it like I always did. And I did nod, just once. But man, something just froze inside me right then. It wasn't anger, not really. It was more like a door slamming shut in my head. I realized suddenly and completely that whatever hope I'd been hanging onto of their love or even their sense of obligation to me was totally gone. I didn't fight back. I didn't cry, I just stared at them, really looked at them, and the thought hit me. You think I owe you something? Nope, I owed them nothing. The rest of the night I played the part. I danced with my sister-in-law Lee, thanked everyone, gave a few speeches, took tons of pictures. I didn't show them a single thing was wrong. But the very next morning I was on the phone. See, for years I'd been secretly carrying their weight. When their old car died, I helped Ed get a used one. The loan was actually in my name. When Mom lost her part-time job, I paid their internet and phone bills until she found a new one. I even added them to my Costco card so they could get cheaper groceries. They were living in a place I owned, paying half the rent. I let them think it was just a family deal. Honestly, I was so sick of watching them struggle. I figured I was doing the right thing, but never once did I get a simple thank you. Not when I paid off their credit card debt. Not when I covered their rent for a whole month without saying a word. Not even when I bought Ethan that new laptop for grad school. Mom actually said, "You have more money than we do." It was always expected of me, you know. Like it was my job to make up for being the quiet kid, the good kid, the one who never caused trouble, the one who never asked for anything. And then there I was, married to the most amazing guy, and my own parents treated it like some dull duty, a box to check on a list. They felt like they had to come just so they could say they were there. So I started making calls. First to the bank, then their landlord, and then all the utility companies. I wasn't being a jerk or trying to get revenge. I just undid everything I'd done. Slowly, carefully, I made sure I did it right. As things started to fall apart for them, they had no clue it was me pulling the strings. The first thing to go was the house. It was just a small 2-bedroom place on the outskirts of town, but they called it home. I'd bought it for them 5 years ago. They were way behind on rent back then after Dad lost his job and Mom's hours got cut. Ethan. Oh, he was too busy helping his then-fiancée plan their fancy engagement trip to Italy. Okay, so I went ahead and bought the house, put it in my name, and let them live there for way less than I could have gotten. I even fixed little things myself instead of hiring someone, just to spare them the awkwardness, you know. I told my property manager, the one who handles my other rentals, to send them a formal eviction notice, saying their lease wasn't getting renewed. I gave them a full 2 months, which is more than fair, I think, and made sure everything was totally above board. Then I told her to get the place ready to rent out for what it's actually worth once they were gone. She kinda hesitated at first because she knew it was my parents, but I just said, "Look, it's business," and that was that. Then there was the car. My dad's car, the sedan, was financed under my name. His credit was shot, so I'd been paying for it for almost 2 years. When I got my new SUV last summer, I secretly switched his car insurance over to my policy to keep things cheaper for him. He had no clue, so I called the bank, got the payoff amount, and sold it at a dealership, traded it in, basically. Since it was in my name, I didn't even have to ask them. The only call I had to make was to cancel the insurance. A few days later, Dad came outside and saw the driveway empty. He thought it was stolen. I know because he called me. "Jake," he said, all choked up, "I think someone stole the car. It's gone." I was at work, staring at my computer screen, sipping my coffee like nothing was happening. "Oh," I said, real casual, "yeah, I traded it in. The car was in my name, you know." Then there was this awkward silence, like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "What do you mean you traded it in?" he sputtered. "That was my car." I just said, "No, Dad, you used my car. It was always mine. I just let you drive it." He lost it. "You're kidding, right? I need that for work." I just said, real flat, "You haven't worked in 7 months. Remember telling Uncle Rob you were semi-retired?" He started screaming, but I told him I was in a meeting and hung up. I didn't even block his number. I didn't yell back. I just ended the call cold turkey. Then came the bills. Mom's phone was on my plan. I'd added her when her old phone croaked and she freaked out about the cost of a new one. So I put her on my family plan, paid everything quietly, and never asked for a penny back. Same with their streaming stuff, even their Costco membership, all under my name, one after the other. I canceled every automatic payment. Wednesday morning, bam, missed calls and voicemails galore. First, Mom all sharp and accusing. "Jake, the internet's down. What's going on? Your dad's going nuts. He can't even check his email." Then another one. "Jake, our phones are dead. Did the company screw up again? Fix this." Then a text. "Why's the water off? Are you seeing this? Call me back. Is this some kind of joke?" I didn't answer any of it. I just sat there on the couch with Lee, who already knew the whole thing. I told her that night at the wedding what I was gonna do. It wasn't some angry outburst, you know, just calm like I knew exactly what I had to do. She didn't even try to talk me out of it, just nodded and said, "About time." Even with her on my side, though, I didn't feel any sense of victory, not then anyway. There was this awful emptiness inside me, not guilt, not really, but something way deeper, like a deep, hollow sadness. It wasn't like I was hurting some random people. I was cutting ties with my own parents, the people who raised me, the people whose approval I craved for so long. But every time I thought about changing my mind, I heard Mom's words from the reception echoing in my head. "You should be grateful we even showed up." That sentence, it just stuck with me, haunted me. I paid for my own wedding, every single detail, the flowers, the chairs, everything. And she acted like they were doing me a huge favor by being there. And then Dad's smirk, he always needed us more than we needed him. That didn't just hurt, it made me furious. I'd been carrying them silently for years, and they still thought they were doing me some kind of kindness by being in my life. No more. A week later, Ethan texted. "Dude, what you do? Mom's freaking out, says you're being mean and ungrateful. You okay?" I just stared at my phone for a long time. I wasn't even mad at him, just so drained. I texted back, "I'm fine, just changing my priorities." Then Ethan texted Jake, "Come on, this isn't like you." That one actually made me chuckle, because it was like me, just not the me they were used to. I was always the quiet kid, the good kid, the one who blended into the background. Never rocked the boat, never made a fuss. So I sent one last message thinking, maybe this is who I am, you guys just never saw it. Silence, nothing back. Meanwhile, Lee's family had been incredible. Her mom even called some gossip magazine just to check in. Her dad would send me articles, thinking I might find them interesting. They genuinely cared about me like I was one of their own. It wasn't about money or anything. It was just about loving their daughter and being there for her. Seeing how they treated me made the situation with my own family hurt even more, but it also helped me see things clearly. Love isn't about grand gestures or fancy words, it's the little things. It's about who helps you pick up the pieces, who checks in on a Tuesday afternoon just because, who sees you're struggling and actually does something. My parents were at my wedding, sure, but emotionally they were a million miles away. And now, as their lives got smaller, as they lost more and more, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. But I also knew things were about to get messy. 3 days later, it all blew up. It started with a certified letter. I'd already okayed it with the property manager. The letter was short, official, and left no room for argument. Basically, it said they had 60 days to get out of their house on Maplewood Drive. Their lease wasn't being renewed. Good luck, it practically said. I didn't even have to be there to witness the explosion, but they made damn sure I knew about it. My mom left a voicemail, a mix of rage and panic. "Jake, what's this letter all about? Why would you even consider kicking us out? Seriously, is this a mistake or what? Call me right away, this is so not cool." Then her voice cracking, another message. "Dad's practically having a heart attack, pacing back and forth. You can't mean this. You wouldn't. We've lived here for 5 years, you know." Then came one from my dad, who switched from yelling to guilt trips in like 2 seconds. "I'm so let down, Jake. After everything we've done for you? You wouldn't even have your job if it wasn't for my advice back in college. You need to act your age. This is family." That one made me stop dead in my tracks. I stared at my phone. There was still this tiny part of me, just a little spark, that hoped things could be different. That maybe if I just told them everything, spelled it all out, they'd finally get it. But I knew it was a waste of time. They didn't want to hear it. They just wanted to be in charge again, so I didn't reply. Instead, I waited till the weekend. Then I went over to the house, not to talk, not to fight, but to grab the spare keys I'd hidden in the shed out back. I knew they'd be gone. They always had lunch with those family friends, every Saturday at noon like it was etched in stone. I walked through the house quietly, seeing the scratches on the walls, the stack of unopened mail, the same cheap curtains Mom swore still looked good. It wasn't home anymore, not really. Just a place we'd lived in so long it felt like we owned it. I left a little envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a list, all typed up nice and neat. Every single payment I'd ever made, utilities, those rent deals they got, loan stuff, even the grocery deliveries. Every little thing I did for them, every time I helped out without a word. The total at the bottom, $62,500. Underneath I wrote in plain black ink, "This is what not needing you looks like." Then I locked up, pocketed the key, and drove away. Later that night, Ethan showed up. No call, no text, nothing. Just knocked on my door like we were still kids hanging out for football and beers. Lee answered before I could get there. "Hey," Ethan mumbled, all awkward and embarrassed. "Is Jake here?" I came around the corner, arms crossed. "Didn't expect to see you," I said. He kind of chuckled, forced. "Look, I'm not here to fight, but Mom's a wreck. Dad's threatening lawyers. They say you totally blindsided them." "I didn't blindside them," I said, keeping my voice even. "They just wouldn't see it." He sighed and scratched the back of his head. "They say you're trying to ruin them." "I'm not ruining anyone," I told him. "I'm just done paying for them." Ethan looked around my place like he was seeing it for the first time, the peace, the comfort of it all. He saw the picture of Lee and me from our honeymoon, the new furniture, everything I'd saved for, the life I'd built for myself. He was going on about how they were gonna leave everything to me, you know? It was all in the will, the house, the money. I just couldn't help it. I let out this laugh, totally empty and awful. "Ethan," I said, "they don't even own the house. I do, and the savings, I am the savings." He looked completely shocked. I moved closer, my voice calm but low. "You've spent your whole life thinking you were the main event in this family, and they just went along with it because it was easier than dealing with the truth. The truth is, I've been the one secretly holding everything together, no credit, no nothing, but I'm done. Over it." He looked like he wanted to argue, but then he just nodded, his jaw clenched, and started to walk away. Before he got to the door, I added, "Tell them the clock's ticking. 60 days. After that, the house is going on the market." He stopped, still facing away from me. "You really just don't care anymore, do you?" he asked. I shrugged. "I care, I just don't do the enabling thing anymore." The door clicked shut behind him. Leah put her hand in mine, and for the first time in ages, I felt free. Not because I'd hurt them, but because I had finally chosen me. But of course, the mess wasn't over, not by a long shot. 2 days later, there it was, an envelope from a law firm, certified with a stamp. Inside was a letter. My parents were trying to sue me for improper eviction, emotional distress, and financial exploitation, and I just smiled. I read that letter like 3 times, slowly, carefully, sipping my coffee as the sun came in through the blinds. Honestly, it was ridiculous. Just a totally amateur legal threat, like something you'd see someone who's obsessed with courtroom TV shows try to pull off. The letter claimed I was abusing my power, manipulating the finances, and my absolute favorite, weaponizing family ties. That last one almost made me choke on my coffee. Lee walked into the kitchen and noticed the envelope in my hand. "Is that from your folks?" she asked. "Well, technically their lawyer," I answered, "or someone pretending to be one." "Should we be concerned?" I just shook my head. "Not at all. I know exactly what's going on, and they're totally faking it." Still, I sent it off to my actual lawyer, Daniel, who I'd gotten on board right after I got married. That was when I first started figuring out the mess my parents had gotten into financially. He called back within an hour and started laughing the second he answered. "Jake, this is nothing. They didn't even use the right form for an eviction dispute, and the lawyer they hired, not even licensed here. I'll draft a response, don't sweat it." I thanked him and hung up, feeling something I hadn't felt in ages. Peace. Real, genuine peace. Not the fake kind I grew up with, always having to make my parents happy, but the real kind that comes from setting boundaries and sticking to them. Even so, I didn't want to make it a public spectacle. I didn't put anything up online. I didn't blow up on Facebook or fire off any angry texts to the family group chat. That thing's been on mute for ages. I just kept to myself, kept things clean and tidy while those 60 days crawled by. Their revenge came fast, just like I figured. First, the guilt trip. Mom called, crying on my voicemail, saying how embarrassed she was, how she couldn't believe I'd do this to her. She practically begged me to change my mind. Hit me with all that "we did this for you" stuff, the same old tired lines she always used when she was backed into a corner. Then came the rage, a text from Dad. He threatened to tell everyone what I was doing, called me selfish and heartless. Said, "We brought you into this world, we can cut you out of our will too." My reply, "You already did, emotionally, years ago." After that, radio silence, the kind that just sits there, simmering, waiting for you to crack. But I didn't. I focused on selling the place, cleaned it up, took some new pictures, got it appraised. It was worth way more than I expected, thanks to the market and all the little improvements I'd paid for over the years. I didn't even crack a smile at the number, just filed it away under "what's next." The eviction day rolled around and not a peep. Nothing from Mom, Dad, or Ethan. I didn't even go near the house. Let the property manager handle the key exchange. She called later that night, just said, "They're gone." Didn't even leave a forwarding address. A few days later, a text from an unknown number. "You win." "I hope it was worth it, Mom." I just stared at the message for a sec, then hit delete. Nothing, no big reply, no fireworks. It wasn't about winning, you know. It was about closing a book that should have been shut years ago. 2 weeks later, I sold the house. Cash, no drama, the money, straight into a savings account just for Lee and me. That's our new beginning, our foundation. We're building our own house now. A place where nobody ever feels like a stranger in their own home. A place where love isn't all about guilt or who owes what. And this is the crazy part I never saw coming. 6 months after selling, Lee and I were relaxing on the porch, just enjoying the evening, when we found a letter. No envelope, just a folded piece of paper slipped under the door. I opened it real slow, expecting some last-minute guilt trip or another passive-aggressive dig, but it just said, "Jake, you were right. We took advantage. We expected too much. We didn't see you and we're sorry. Love, Mom." That was it. No big apology, no trying to fix things. Just that one sentence, a tiny whisper of maybe, possibly taking responsibility, but way, way too late. I showed Lee. She didn't say a word, just grabbed my hand. "What are you gonna do?" she asked. I looked at the letter for a bit, then put it down. I didn't need to say anything. I'd already done everything I needed to. Honestly, I didn't need anyone to say they were sorry to know I made the right calls. I didn't need any final words from those who couldn't give a damn when it really counted. I'd come to terms with it. Some families just don't get better. Some stories don't have perfect endings, and sometimes the only way to build something new is to quit dwelling on what already happened. Ethan and I haven't talked since he showed up at my place that day. I heard through the grapevine, a cousin, that he and his wife are going to have a baby. I hope things go well for them, but from a distance. I just send good vibes, no big deal. As for my parents, from what I hear, they moved in with one of Mom's sisters or maybe got a smaller apartment nearby. I'm not really sure anymore. I stopped keeping track and they stopped reaching out. Now when I'm home, I don't jump when the phone rings. Birthdays and holidays don't make me tense up. I don't have to steel myself for guilt trips masked as friendly conversation. Instead, I play my guitar. Sundays, Lee and I cook together and we dance around the kitchen. I have friends over, I laugh really loud, and I live life without apologizing. And sometimes, when I think about everything the $40,000 wedding they threw for Ethan, the things I quietly gave up at the dinner table where they acted like I owed them everything just for being there, I just smile to myself and think, no, they should have been grateful. But now I don't show up for the people who never showed up for me, and it feels amazing.